What if I were to tell you there's a piece of DJ software that just lets you get on with DJing, that doesn't break, that doesn't have a subscription, that doesn't use video or AI or connect to your social media? I'm joking a little bit. There is. This is it. It's called Mix. It's free. It's open source. And this video is a little look at whether it's something you should be interested in and what it means for the DJ world, because I think it's actually quite important to have alternatives like this out there. And this is coming from a school that completely loves all the fantastic innovations in DJ software and the stuff all the great companies in this world are doing, but they're not for everyone. And there is a certain number of people out there for who this software might be a breath of fresh air. So let's take a proper look at it. So let's first talk about what it is. It's basically the kind of DJ software you're used to. It looks like it, as you can tell. It's got the library at the bottom and the tree on the left and the decks on the top. It works for Mac, works for Windows, works on Linux, which is actually what I'm testing it on here as part of a bigger project looking into open source DJing. And so really, on the face of it, it might be all you need. So let's look at what it's actually like using this software in practice. So I've used it with a basic Pioneer DJ DDJ Flex 4, which is the controller we recommend for beginners and for most people just wanting to dabble in DJing. That said, we are going to test this, and I believe the sweet spot for this software might well be with DVS, with controlling it with digital vinyl systems where you've got basic DJ gear with control vinyl on it, allowing you to DJ with the gear you maybe already have or in the way you've always done it, but just with a digital music collection. I'll come back to that. So this is the process you have to go through to get this set up and working on your particular gear if you want to give it a test. Remember, it's open source. You can go and download this now for free and have a play with it. Let's have a little look into how it works then. So you need to set it up by heading into the settings panel. So by opening the settings panel that you can see now here, you get all these options here, and the ones you're going to be interested in are the controllers, where you're going to go and find the controller that you've plugged in. It should hopefully load it automatically here and give you a couple of options, and then you go grab the mapping here. Now it is mapped to quite a lot of controllers down this side here, but by no means all of them. No DJ software apart from Virtual DJ is. Even commercial DJ software, for instance, that works with tries to work with everyone's controllers, like Algorithm's DJ Pro, which obviously Algorithm are just a software company. They don't make hardware. Even commercial companies like that, their stuff doesn't work on everything, and even a lot of the stuff it does work on, it doesn't work particularly well. Only Virtual DJ gets that pretty much right with everything, which has always been its great strength. Anyway, I digress. Let's get back to what we've got here. So you're going to find your controller and set it up here. If you can't, you can head over to the Mix forums and the wiki, and there's always people over there who will help you. It's one of the great strengths of this software that it's got a fantastic community of people keeping it maintained and keeping you up to date with what you can do on it. You're going to set your controller up here, but you're also going to crucially set up your sound hardware here. Now, because I'm using Linux, this will look different to you if you're using Mac or Windows, but ultimately you're going to select the sound API at the top, and you're going to select the channels you want for the main output and the headphones output, which is going to choose what comes out of the back basically and what comes out of the front, so that your headphones and your speakers get the right audio. Little tip, if you find that it's all feeling a bit weird, just swap those two over and it normally fixes it. I mean, this is how DJ software used to be. We had to go through this. When we started Digital DJ Tips in 2010, the number one question that I was asked was, why is the same thing coming out of my headphones that's coming out of my speakers? Because we talked to people hundreds, if not thousands of times through this very basic sound hardware setup. With commercial equipment nowadays, it's all kind of done for you. You click next 5 times when you install the software, you plug your gear in and it just works. You need to be ready to do these things in here because there is a little bit of a learning curve with setting up. So you've configured the controller, you've configured the audio routing, you've read the wiki. Let's just have another look while we're in here at some of the other things. So I'll give you a sense of how serious this software is. So there's lots of features here for telling it where your library is and deciding how it behaves with your library. As you can see, you can plug in libraries from elsewhere as well. Varied results here, especially with Rekordbox and Serato, but worth playing with. Now you also have, this is the area that we will be playing with in a future video because I've got something special for testing it with DVS coming up, so we'll talk about that later down the line. A few skins, although I'd like to have seen a daytime skin. because there isn't one there as far as I could tell. You can change the way the waveforms look, and you can change how smoothly they scroll and all that kind of thing here. Choose a color scheme for it. You can choose how you want the decks to behave. You've got mixer functions here with things like the crossfader curve and the equalizer settings and so on. The effects are definitely an also ran. Don't expect brilliant effects at all. They're not, they're just average. However, they're there. You've also got an auto mix feature for your library, which is nice. You can live broadcast on Icecast and Shoutcast, and all the settings are here for that, which has always been a strength of this software for people who like to do that. There's a recording feature in the software. It's got BPM and beat detection, in other words, beat gridding. So let's talk about this for a second. Two types of beat gridding. The classic standard beat gridding, where it'll just guess the BPM and lay the grid over it, and you shift it left and right to make it fit, which is great for electronic music. Often you don't need to do anything else. It's also got dynamic beat gridding, which is similar to what you find in other DJ software, where it will guess the BPM if you've got non-electronic music. And it does a reasonable job of that, actually. It's not bad. It's even got settings for, you know, when we've got this kind of track loaded, how are we to behave and so on. However, the beat gridding, as far as I could tell, doesn't have an important feature, which is the ability to put a marker cue point down saying this is definitely on the beat, and then this one is, and this one is. So you can't kind of do that thing, as far as I can tell, which is a big miss, really, if beat gridding is important to you. Bottom line, if you're using all kinds of music, not just electronic, and you use sync and beat gridding a lot, this software is not for you. It's going to trip you up. But for people who don't, hey, it's just always been a nice to have. Let's get back to looking through what we got here then. So key detection, it's got the version of key detection that is the one you probably know. They call Lancelot rather than Camelot. There's politics behind the scenes about that, but it's ultimately the same. It does detect key, it does lock key. It does have key sync, although it's limited use because it doesn't use fuzzy key mixing, which is the way you should do it nowadays, which we kind of popularized and invented the name for. I'd like to see that. It would be an easy ad. It just means that when you click key sync, it doesn't make your tracks sound terrible sometimes. So key detection and key lock is there, which is good. And we've also got the normalization feature, which is just a nice way of making sure you're loud but not too loud. And it's good to see this in here, right? This is tying in if you're going to be using this for live streaming, for instance. It's going to make you sound nice and loud. All right, so there's most of the stuff you've got in there. And the point of talking you through all that was to show you that this is serious software. They've thought hard about the stuff you've got in here. It's not just plug and play. Hey, you know, you see software, you see apps that say, you know, I'm trying to think of a name of one now, you know, Beat Transition Master. And you just know it's going to have nothing in it apart from someone's written a script to move between the tracks. This is serious software. It's been around a long time. It's mature. Let's look at some of the things you can do in the actual interface then. So at the top here, we have controls which should be pretty familiar to you if you're used to DJ software. You can choose the size of the library. You can choose whether the waveforms show or not. You can choose whether you have 4 decks or 2. You can hide and show the mixer. So clearly, if you don't have the mixer showing on here, you're going to need a controller. But if you do have the mixer on the controller, then why have it showing on here? That's the thinking behind that. You've got the effects section here, which I talked about, where you can dial in the effects down here and choose what you want. I would just recommend maybe a simple echo out and a simple reverb there. I wouldn't go too much further than that with the quality of them. A very simple sampler. And you've also got the ability to control any inputs on your sound card on your device. This device here doesn't have any inputs. It has a microphone input, but it doesn't go through the software. It just comes straight out the back, so you wouldn't see that in there. However, if your software does have that, then if your hardware does have that, this is where you're going to get to control it. Now, there's another settings panel as well over here, and this allows you to fine-tune some of the things about the interface. So, for instance, you can have 4 or 8 hot cues. You can choose if you want intro and outro cues auto added, and lots of other things down here. And I recommend you do that. So another thing that I recommend you do is set up the columns here, how you want them. So by default, it has a big album column here, which, I mean, I don't know any DJs that have album information in their DJ collection, because DJing is all about individual tracks, right? What I didn't like was there's no default. There's no like, oh, this is how I want my columns, now do it everywhere. So every time you add a new playlist, every time you add a new crate, it's got this kind of playlists and crates idea going on, where crates are big chunks of tunes and playlists of tunes that you put in order. But anyway, anytime you do that, you've got to do it over and over again. I'd really like to see that changed. It's got no smart playlist on it either. So if you're used to having playlists that are run by rules, then you're not going to find that in there. So the library's pretty good, but it will take a little bit of work to get it working exactly how you want it to. All that said, it works. This is basic DJ software that does the job. What I wanted to show you on the display, so I'm going to do this on here to explain. What I'm going to do now is just turn these up and down, right? Now look on the display when I do that. Notice how that waveform, let's just move into the waveform a bit so you can see better. Notice how when I do this, the waveform is changing. So you can actually see the frequencies that you've boosted and you've dipped. And if you put them all up high, you can see you're completely distorting that track. So it's quite a nice feature. It is on some other DJ software, but it's by default on this. And I like it. It's nice. What else about it then? The thing I missed, this is a really weird little thing, but the thing I missed is, you know, when you press stop on the deck, it kind of can either stop like, or it can stop instantly. And there's usually a control in DJ software that gives you that vinyl feel. Well, it doesn't do it in this. So when you stop the track playing in this, it just stops like that. And I want it to go, and it's just like, there could just be a button in there that says, you know, authentic vinyl deck stop or something. I don't know, it just makes it sound like vinyl. Another thing, just generally, and this is for all controllers, Virtual DJ gets this best. I don't know how they do it. They've got some magic dust, but it's always been the problem with controller mappings for third-party gear with software. The jog wheels always feel all right, but they never seem to feel perfect. When you're moving the jog wheel, it kind of, you can hear the music's not quite stopping. Your hands get very, very sensitive on jog wheels, and you know when it feels right. And all you need to do is ever DJ with vinyl, and you'll never forget what it feels like when it's right. And this just isn't quite right. It's okay, it's usable, it's reliable. It's usable, right? But it's not right. It stops before the audio stops or after the audio stops. You haven't got the right inertia. Like I say, that is completely normal for mappings where the controller and the software are not made by the same company. It's not standard MIDI mapping on jog wheels, and that's the problem. You need scripts to do it and stuff, and it's hard to do. It all ties in with the fact that this software does not work with every controller, and when it does, it's not perfect. If there's any screens on your controller, you ain't going to see the feedback that you get from the very best integrations between controllers and hardware, for instance. So if you're going to use mix software with a controller, I recommend a very simple controller or DVS. And I think that is going to be the sweet spot. Ironically, we haven't tested it here. There's a reason for that, because we're going to do something separate, a little bit special for testing mix with DVS. All right, so there's the software and there's our little talk through of it. Let's kind of round this up by talking about our impressions of it, having not used it for years, I'll be honest. So it's philosophy over features. And I think that's the really cool thing here. This software here says, what if we just made solid DJ software and gave it away? And I think that's quite compelling, isn't it? It's not for everyone. So if you want stems, they've just introduced stems actually. It's not real time. It's like how Traktor did it 10 years ago. But hey, they've just introduced stems. So you can tell that stuff slowly comes in. It's not in this version. This is the latest stable version. Stems is in the current beta. But look, if you want stems, if you want video, if you want streaming, if you want cloud libraries and stuff, stick with the commercial software. It's good. That's what you're paying for. But if you just want the basics doing well, and you therefore get a little bit irked by planned obsolescence, by subscriptions, by things changing and then breaking your hardware and so on, or if you're privacy conscious because open source software isn't tracking you, it doesn't care what you do with it, it's free, so why would it? Or if you're on a budget, right? Nothing says budget like free. This could be perfect for you. So if you want a mature open source alternative to a commercial platform, well, there's only one really out there, and it's this one. It's Mix. It's definitely worth a look. And I don't see why anyone watching this wouldn't give it a go, because you can go and download it for free for Mac, Windows, or indeed for Linux, as I've been testing it here. It's a breath of fresh air, and it's been a lot of fun to do this. Keep your eye open for a future video where I'm going to do something special testing this with DVS. I'm keeping my powder dry on that one. I'm hoping it'll work the way I think it will from chatting to other people who've done it, but we're going to be trying something a little bit special with this software. If you want to learn to DJ on any DJ gear, software, hardware, anything in between, record decks, CDs, digital, you choose. But if you want to learn the basics of DJing, which is gear, music, mixing, performing, and success. We teach that. And it doesn't matter what you use. That is the strength of how we teach. I recommend you join Digital DJ Tips by clicking the join button on our website. That will get you a free copy of our book, and it's free to join. More importantly, it will get you our weekly Tuesday tips email, which is full of free stuff that will help you get involved in this great hobby of DJing. But when you're ready, you can come and grab our complete DJ course. As I say, you could use this just as easily as any of the other alternatives. And our complete DJ course will teach you everything you need to know about playing that first DJ set and getting addicted to this hobby that so many of us love. This has been the Digital DJ Tips review of Mix software. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm Phil. Now get good, get out there and make the moments. I'll see you next time.